Yeah.
Sports Ian. Stop it, Sports Ian. Welcome to the Complete Unnecessary Podcast for Tuesday, October 18th, 2022. The first day of the new NBA season.
That's right.
That's Ian Ferguson. He's
Yep.
excited for his Pistons. I'm Pat Contry.
Looking up the league pass prices.
Yeah.
Gonna do that tonight. I don't want to have to go to bars for every fucking game.
Well, one of those you can get two devices. Maybe we can go 50-50. I don't know how that works. We got to look at that.
We can take a look at that.
On the show today, we'll be recapping PRGE and Pat being confronted by a sealed collector. I knew it was going to happen. Sony buys the rights to the GameStop meme stock movie. Say that 3 times fast. The UDO console. I don't want to get it right. It's UDO. No, UDO console Kickstarter. And more happening. And G4 is gone.
Big Go Bills. Want to just throw out a Big Go Bills. That was a fucking
victorious?
hell of a game. Oh, yeah, they were victorious.
You and Norm at the PRGE booth that we had your signs up.
I put up a Go Bills sign, and then Norm decided he had to get up a KC Chiefs sign. And I think it was that move by Norm that sealed the Kansas City Chiefs loss.
Really? He put a curse on it?
He cursed himself.
Well, it was a close game.
It was a close game. Very close.
And the Giants somehow are 5-1, and that no one saw that coming. And the rest of the schedule,
the fucking Giants,
and the Big Blue in the next 4 or 5 weeks is a fairly easy schedule, so they can be not going to jinx it, 8-2 maybe, or 8-3.
Bill's schedule's looking pretty good tonight, as well. Bill's schedule's looking pretty easy, and it's I don't know. And our bye week is this week too, so we're going to be rested.
To relax.
We're going to be well rested. I don't have to stress out this Sunday.
But we're excited for to be back at PRG. It was a great time. It was
wondrous.
We talked about all the food and Norm and I going on a date on the exclusive Patreon.
The extracurricular activities
on patreon.com/CU podcast. But it was good to be back, Ian. It was interesting. 3 years is a long time in the retro gaming world, and especially with all the shenanigans that have happened in between with sealed collecting and WADA going down in flames publicly. So it was interesting to be back. But obviously, WADA was still there, and you still had Heritage Auctions there. Obviously, no one's really going into those booths. You had Golden Auctions there. I'm actually friendly with Dominic at Golden Auctions. I talked to him at these conventions. I didn't realize he was with Golden Auctions. I forget. I think I talked to him about too many games as well. And then, so there's a concentration of the seal stuff, but even they admit no one's really coming up to the booth. The booth. They're trying to consign. They're trying to get more business.
Right. I think that's what it is. It's trying to get consignment.
But that's not who goes to these conventions by and large.
Right.
This is the heartbeat of the retro gaming world is Portland, to see what's going on and what's happening. So what were your any main takeaways from PRG? How did it feel?
Yeah, sure. So I honestly felt like they did a really admirable job of making the first one back in 3 years feel familiar, comforting. I feel like there was maybe a little less in terms of pinball this year. In previous years, I remember another row kind of back.
They're probably about 40 pinball machines, and usually there's probably 70 or so.
I think it was probably 40 this year, and they usually advertise about 60.
Okay,
not a huge deal. I mean, whatever, shit happens. That's
fine.
It's just what I noticed.
They might have been a slightly smaller, but that's fine.
It was still really fun. There was a lot of cool things there. I'm always happy to see a live Star Castle. And I have to play Star Castle every time. I love Star Castle.
You don't see them too often.
Miserable at Star Castle, but I love it, and that's no surprise because it's what Yar's Revenge took its inspiration from.
Sure.
The vendor floor was... I felt like there was a really nice selection of stuff on the vendor floor this year, compared to 3 years ago. 3 years ago, I couldn't find a Switch game to save my life. This year, all sorts of vendors had Switch games, and that's something I wanted to bring up. It's very interesting to me to see the acceptance of Switch games, a modern system, at retro game conventions, because there was quite a few of them at SoCal as well. And I think part of it is because Switch gets so many physical releases through Limited Run and all the other sort of, companies that, these little ones that come out 3 years ago are kind of collectible now, or they're things people want to look for. So you find them. And I also think it's one of those systems that you see it online. There's a lot of Switch collectors. I think because it's a Nintendo system, people kind of gravitate towards collecting it. So among all the old stuff, you see a lot,
smaller form.
Right.
Maybe that helps.
And they did, I did see PS4 games and stuff there, and Xbox, a little bit of Xbox One stuff.
I saw a bunch of Vita games.
Yes, well, Vita, I mean, as a discontinued system, that counts to me. I'm talking like the Switch is current. Like,
Gotcha.
You know, it would be like seeing PS5 and Xbox Series X games. So the Switch is interesting.
It's also because now you have like 8 or 9 different companies putting out these, you know, very smaller homebrew style games.
That's what I just said. Yeah, exactly.
So you can collect across all these different, but like keeping up with all that is going to be like
that's tough
for someone to get every single Switch game. Is going to be not easy. I think looking at that, like how, same way like the Wii was, like it's going to be hard to like catch up to all these releases probably.
Chris Kohler had a thread going, I think last night or this morning, that was pretty good about how, you know, we're kind of over set collectors. It's just not really a thing that's going to happen anymore. And that's both modern and retro, because
we said that.
It's way too expensive for all but the richest people to do full set collecting anymore, because there's so many games that have shot up in value for each system. It used to be, and the point he made, but I've said this before too, was when a Loose Stadium Events was a $2,000 cartridge, and that was the most expensive thing you were buying. It was accessible for a lot more people.
It was reasonable.
Yeah. And now, you know, that's unheard of.
Even when it was like 4 or 5, maybe for some people, that's like within striking distance. And now,
you know, that's something you can work towards. Yeah, that's absolutely something you can find. You can work out a trade, work out a deal, but you know, those days are long gone. But I would also say that those days were gone in 2019.
Yeah, but prices were coming down on
NES,
on the NES and Super stuff and Genesis. It was sliding down. We talked about that.
Right.
In terms of general interest, though, what happens when prices go up to a certain amount, though, if there's no interest, they're going to come back down.
Sure.
That's also the thing.
Sure.
And I did not do a good job this week, and obviously we were busy. We had a booth up front. Thanks for everyone who came to the booth.
Oh, yeah, it was real busy. Thanks to everyone who bought my stuff. Like, I sold out of everything but like 2 Xbox games the first day, which is, I love it. It's less stress on Sunday.
Yeah, we sold some T-shirts, we sold some pins, we sold some stickers, sold all but 3 boxes of books that Portland's going to hold on to me, so I did good there. But I did not do as good a job as I usually do. Like in 19, I was going around asking vendors what is selling. I did that a little bit. From the general consensus I got just from that was that N64 is like the oldest console that's like the big amount of interest. Was my in GameCube, like, so turn of the century. It's like 20 years, which kind of makes sense. That's what I was told in terms of like, for demographics, that makes sense at this point, because if you're like your mid to late 20s, you grew up with N64 and GameCube. You just did.
Yeah, we always talk about that. I think PS2 is getting there as well.
Same time, you know, turn of the century.
A little bit later. Oh, yeah, no, you're right.
2000, 2001. So
just
like
a little after.
That's what to me is acceptable. I saw one Twitter thread with expensive, this is expensive games, with like, I think it was expensive N64 games with like, we're talking like $1,400 for like Sculptor's Cut expensive. Sure. Saying like no one's buying these. There's probably going to be like some sort of like bubble going to burst. And that's what it was happening with NES games in 2019. I asked the folks at, I think the folks at Double Jump, I asked, you know, they had the case of like that, we'll say $300-$400 NES games loose, like, you know, like your Bonk's Adventure stuff, your Power Blade 2, you know, I mean, that's here, like the stuff that's very uncommon or rare stuff. And I asked him on Sunday, I remember he said, yeah, none of these have sold. Like the whole weekend they weren't selling. So I think there's still that. I think we're going to see the next 6 months to a year, the correction happen from everyone's predicting some sort of recession. We've had inflation. And I think you're going to see the buying at that high level stop. I just think you will.
Sure.
I think it's going to come back down to earth.
Something that I did see that was interesting is portable seems to be picking up.
Potent portables?
Portable. Definitely seems to be picking up for a couple of reasons. One, Vonnie brought 2 very expensive DS games. Well, expensive.
What was like $250?
They were both $250. Okay. She probably could have gotten $300 for both of them, but she just wanted to move them.
Well, cash is king, you know what I mean?
Right. So she sold both of those with like no problem within the first 3 hours, I think, of Saturday she sold it.
Now, are those games more geared towards like sort of an Earthbound style expensive game where people want to buy it to play it more so than collect it, or you think those are collect?
It was both. God, my brain is fighting right now. The guy who bought Commando Steel Assault from us, he collects and he wants the rarities, but he just wants to play it.
So it's like an Earthbound sort of
thing.
thing.
He does. I mean, it's easily piratable, all that stuff is, but he's one of those collectors who buys the expensive games and then plays them like I do with PC Engine. So he was really looking forward to that. Or he got that. So Vonnie moved both of those quick. I saw a lot of boxed Game Boy games on the show floor. Those weren't moving, but I saw many higher priced loose Game Boy games and Game Boy Advance games on Saturday that were gone by Sunday. Including DS, including some DS and 3DS stuff. Like I saw the Azuna games; those were selling pretty well. The first one, so yeah, it was interesting to see. Like those are things in years past, 3 years ago, that just would not have moved.
You think the Switch helped that? Being a handheld itself, kind of like might have helped.
Maybe I feel like the pandemic helped handhelds. I also feel like the Analog Pocket has helped handhelds.
Okay, good point.
So, and then there's there's Game Boy consoleizers. So there's a lot of new and great ways to play portable games on clearer screens, better battery life systems. Even if you're using a modded Game Boy Advance or a modded Game Gear, the ways to play all of these games are suddenly, I think, a lot more appealing to people.
Gotcha. It looks like, just looking at Earthbound, that's always like we always pick Earthbound to talk about because people want it, but it's not a rare game. You can find it. It looks like the sold on eBay averages around $300.
Yeah, well, I saw. I think Tom told me that he saw people with someone with a stack of like $500 Earthbounds.
Yeah, that's
or maybe it was Adriana.
That's a game where I would say like I don't see that. Because that was dropping below $200 3 years ago. That was falling.
There was one point at Luna where we were selling it for $150.
Yeah.
And people were actually like balking at the price.
So that's what I mean. So that's when you see these weird swings like this, where this is going to come back down to earth.
Sure.
Bound.
Bound. Yeah.
Get it? Yeah.
Thanks, Pat.
What did you spend money on? What did you get?
I got more than I expected. So I only went looking for a couple of things. One thing I'm always looking for that I'll never find at one of these conventions, but if I'm going to find it someplace, it's they made some plug and play Densha de Go games, the train simulators. Yeah. There's a plug and play one that I think runs a PS2 version of a game basically. And I would love to find that. I'm always looking for someone who's doing like a Densha de Go bundle with like the controller that works for that game and that game. I always see like the loose games and the loose controllers.
You're looking for the N64 controller?
No. Just anything that I can play. So PS2 or PS1 is what I'm looking for.
Because Another Castle had the Japanese N64 controller in the box.
I did see that.
I almost asked about it, but I was like, I don't want to take that back. It's big.
Sure. But I was looking for one Game Boy Advance game. It's a Dragon Ball Advance Adventure. It's not based on Z. It's based on the earlier anime. Mm-hmm. And it's a side-scrolling action game, which oddly for the Dragon Ball universe just doesn't really exist. And it's really great sprite work. So I picked that up. I bought Switch stuff. I ended up going home with like 4 or 5 Switch games because I had money in my pocket. They were ones that I was looking for. They were ones that you had to pre-order or order online, and I always forget to do that shit. Mm-hmm. So I picked up a handful of Switch games, some loose Game Boy games, and a lot of like decent PC Engine filler. PC Engine was on the show floor, and some of it was high priced, but I found a guy whose prices were really reasonable and was willing to deal with me. So I got a lot of like interesting or simpler stuff. So I got like Volfield, which is kind of like a kicks game.
Okay.
I picked up Rock On, which is a shooter for only $20. Any shooter on the PC Engine for $20.
Gotcha.
That's not bad. That's a good price. I picked up Minesweeper finally. There's a version of Minesweeper for the PC Engine, and it's not a homebrew. It's an actual release on the PC Engine. And
with like bells and whistles for Minesweeper? I'm kind of interested in that.
I mean, very few bells and whistles, but basically there's like different tile sets you can use, but it's just Minesweeper. And the guy had it for $10, and I'm like, Every time I see this, I want to pick it up, but it's just so silly. And he's like, well, buy it for $5 instead of $10. And I was like, all right. That's like, thanks.
That's how you move your stuff right there. You work with the person.
Vanya was really happy with her pickups.
Playing out the controller must be hell. In terms of timing versus a mouse.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, God. That just sounds...
Well, there's no timing in Minesweeper.
I mean, the time to click versus going over...
Oh, sure. Yeah, it takes forever.
Yeah, it takes forever. Then you can like misclick maybe, unless it's by grid. Probably by grid. That makes sense.
Vonnie picked up 3 Saturn games, including Shinobi Legions. Okay. So that's cool. That's the live action graphics Shinobi.
What did Pat get? Pat got PC games. This could be the first time I did not buy anything for a console at all at PRGE. I'm trying to remember if I never bought anything. So there was a decent amount of PC stuff because now it's been priced higher than it used to be. People are pricing like stuff like King's Quest 2 and 3 for like $75 each. And like 6-7 years ago, that stuff would be like $20, $15, some of that stuff. Another Castle was also wholesaling certain Super Nintendo NES guidebooks. They're going to be selling them at their stores there. They just had gotten a trade-in, I think, that week of, I'm talking 200 to 250 PC games from the 80s. Big box stuff.
Yeah.
Big box. Big box. Big box.
Slightly less big box.
So we'll start with they were moving because they were reasonably priced. They realized that you can sit on this stuff forever and try to piece it out, or you sell it at good prices and you get and they were gone by Sunday, most of them.
The show floor was a dichotomy. The people who went there and they were like, it's Portland, so I can get the high price. And that didn't really work for some people. Yeah. And then there was a good amount of sellers there that were pricing their stuff really reasonable because they knew they could move volume.
Yes. And so they moved by Sunday. They were almost all gone. And there was one game I looked at that might have been gone that I was thinking about. But they had good stuff. They had like the album Wasteland, which I might have. I forget. They only wanted $25 for something like that. And that's like a game you'd want, like the original Wasteland, for example. Right. But I got some good stuff and got a good deal. I got Indiana Jones and the Lost Kingdom. Oh, sorry, that was that turbo card.
Oh, I love that
sticker someone gave me. So it has all the feelies and it has the copy protection red thing to read on the bottom of the manual here, on the bottom of the pages. The copy protection stuff. I got Sierra Championship Boxing. Talked about this before. This one I didn't know my friend had as a kid, and I didn't realize what it was. And that's an uncommon one. I did not have, I believe, here's the problem. I don't have a database of all my PC games. I got to make one. I got Karateka.
Nice. That's awesome.
It was at...
it's a really nice copy.
Half-price books for $4.99 at some point. It got turned in there. So this is... I didn't know what this is worth, but I figured get that one. I had the disc version of this, but not the box. Good condition. The Double Dare Game Tech game.
Yep, that's awesome, too. Really good shape. Let me
check that one out. I got the good version of Bill and Ted on the Commodore 64. It's not the NES one. And it actually sells free movie admission to Bill and Ted 2.
Oh,
so like there's actually a thing inside where you can mail it away for that. And then finally I got, of course this stuck out to me, and I don't think this one's easy to find. I got Deathbringer, swords and sandal type of game with a beefy guy and a thong girl on the cover there. And it has free poster. They knew who they were selling to, and the poster's in there, and it's like one side is the size of the box. It's a decent sized poster.
Nice.
In there. And this is a RPG, like adventure RPG. It's a Cinemaware game. That's right. It's a Cinemaware game. It's a dungeon crawler / RPG there. So there you go.
Yes.
So I got all these, and that's really what I got. Some people were nice enough to give me a few games, but other than that was basically it. I just don't have the energy to sift through games anymore, or the time. We were busy at our booth. We had a nice location. So like label upgrades would be nice, but I got to sift through 50, 100 games to try to find one label upgrade. I'm like, it's not worth my time.
I don't do it anymore. Like there was a couple places that had like bins of Game Boy games. Mm-hmm. And like I went back to one and put my hand in and actually pulled out a game I needed for a decent price. Mm-hmm. Kung Fu Master for the Game Boy. Or a game that I wanted. I don't need any of them. But in general, like I'll reach in, pull out a couple of duds, and be like, I can't do this.
Yeah. Then speaking of that, I mentioned another Castle has the books in stock. Also, Double Jump has the books in stock there.
Oh, Double Jump is great. I like Double Jump. The dude who owns it is great. I honestly feel bad because I can't remember his name now. But that was a story that I was telling the Norm that was cool. When we first started going to Portland, that dude was like a teenager.
Oh, was he?
Yeah, the dude was like late teenager, really nice. Always came up and said hi to us and stuff like that. And then I think it was 2019, and he used to ask me about like running a shop and stuff like that.
Okay.
And then in 2019, I think it was, he comes up to the table. He's like, "Dude, I got a shop now," and that's his shop. I like that shop.
No, it seems like it's run well.
Yeah, and really fair prices too.
So yeah, thanks for having everyone out. Our podcast panel went well. It was fairly full. I had my basically 10-year anniversary panel on Sunday. That of me being at PRG was my 10th one, Ian. 10th one. Yeah.
That's crazy.
11 through 19 and 22. Yeah. And it was interesting. I did not have the kid who started up as a 9-year-old trolling me about Genesis at the first one. He would come every year. He was not there this year. I felt kind of bad. Maybe he's in college. He's probably in college by now. That's probably why. He's probably in college.
Who?
There was a kid that would come to the original one and he said, "Can you sign my Genesis?" This is back 2011. Can you sign my Sega Genesis? It would be like Satan signing the Bible. That's what he said to me in my first panel. Little whippersnapper. And he would troll me at every panel I went to the first 5 or 6 years I went to Portland. I don't think he was there, though, this year. It was great. The museum was great with the Miss Pac-Man and Pac-Man stuff was great.
It was an excellent
museum. I did not
museum.
have a chance to go through a lot of it. I dropped off some books and Blu-rays to sell for the money to go to the foundation, but I did not have the time to spend. I should have grabbed the ribbon at least. That would have been fun.
I think I've got one somewhere. Frank and Kelsey do a great job on it every year. I really enjoyed like seeing the board games. Like I loved seeing like the board and card game merch that they had for it.
Oh yeah.
And then Stefan's Art of Nintendo Power exhibit was great as always. I think he had a handful of new pieces that weren't at SoCal. And the Sega Saturn Lounge was awesome. Vonnie was in heaven.
Didn't get a chance to check it out.
It was so cool. The guys there, I noticed that there was a new like Sega Saturn fanzine coming out before, and I walked in, and they were actually a Sega Shiro podcast, I think. They were actually kind of running that area, I believe, with Adam Koralik. And I saw the magazine, and I freaked out because I thought Vonnie would like it, and they actually gave me the demo copy they had there. So Vonnie was super pumped about that. I had to leave Vonnie there because I had to get back to the table. They showed her around, and they were chatting Saturn. What else was really cool is they had some of the NetLink systems set up, and they had the full twin stick setups for Virtual On.
Yeah, they had multiplayer Virtual On,
Virtual
right?
On, and they also had, I believe, the NetLink Daytona. They had a bunch of rare shooters, and then I think it was a full U.S. Saturn collection in the corner. I think that was John Hancock's games, I think.
I wish I had the time to do that. I did check out the Blockbuster experience because I did enter, but did not win the Blockbuster Video Game Championship.
You lost.
I did better than I thought, though. It was first. Here's the problem with the way it's set up. I have an issue with how the format was. I know a lot of people are going to enter this, but if only 1 out of 10 people are moving on, I don't think that's a fair way to have people move on to the finals.
No, especially because Bomberman, I mean...
It's half random and half just...
In Bomberman, you can absolutely win without skill. You walk around... I mean, I'm not saying it's easy to do, but...
You can stick in the corner. If you start in the corner, you can stick around and wait till like 8 people are done.
Best player accidentally blows themselves up. Well, staying in the corner, Bomberman is interesting in that that's really a horrible strategy, because if you just stand in the corner, you don't get any power-ups. And if you don't get any power-ups, you're fucked.
Or maybe you go a little bit out. But that's the thing about Bomberman. The power-ups are randomized. So if you start right away with the animal that you hop on, you're already ahead of the game because it's faster and it's an extra hit before you die. So I'm not complaining. I was player 6, Ian. I was near the middle. That you don't want to start in the middle.
Yeah, that's a little rough.
But
that's a little rough.
I did win 1 round. And here's the problem. I got confident. I'm like, I won 1 round. I only got to win 2 more, and then I almost won. I was the last of 2 players on another round. That's why I was like, I killed myself. I was like, fuck. So then I gave myself hope, and then after that I sucked. So like, I almost won the first 2 out of like 4 or 5 rounds. It went like I think 10 rounds total for someone to win, 10 or 11 rounds. I won 1, someone else won 1, and like 2 or 3 people won 2. It got hairy there for a second. There was one person that had 2 wins, but then they did a double kill and got a draw with someone else, so they almost won. So it was, but the point is that was not a good test of my talents. That's all I'm gonna say that.
I see.
It's not a good test of my talents there. But thanks for having us at PRGE. We have to move
always
on.
Amazing. Gotta move.
Sony's buying the rights to the GameStop meme stock movie. There's already been 2 or 3 documentaries on this. Netflix just put out a documentary about this. The stock, of course, is down to whatever, $20-25. It's probably still overpriced now. The meme part of this is now over. Maybe they'll try to do another run at it. I don't think this is that interesting that we need an actual narrative like fictional film about this.
No, absolutely not.
What, people hanging out on their computer desk, going on Reddit? That's going to be an interesting movie. You don't be like, oh, let's get in on this. Let's try to screw over the Wall Street people that are short in the stock. They're probably going to try to be like, oh, this person's last chance at money. They might have an opportunity, to make money to help out with medical bills or something. But the actual process of seeing people click a button to buy stock on their phone or computer, I don't think that's that interesting. I don't.
Sure.
But they're filming it and they're going to come out with it, I think.
Yeah, sounds awful.
You're talking about this Bayonetta 3 voice.
Yeah, this was big over the weekend, and
it's still going on.
Yeah, and I've got some thoughts on it. So, Helena Taylor, who was the original, voice actress for Bayonetta. So Bayonetta 1, Bayonetta 2, and I believe all of Bayonetta's side appearances at the time. Put out a series of videos over the weekend that
like 4 of them,
3 or 4, basically detailing the experience she had with Platinum. And what she said is kind of shocking to me. She said that she was only offered $4,000 for her to reprise the role and voice act the entirety of Bayonetta 3. Which is an absolute, that's just an insulting amount of money to be offered for voice acting an entire fucking game, a franchise that has made, over $450 million. It's insane. So she talks about that, talks about how they wrote to Hideki Kamiya. Nothing happened. And then she basically suggested that fans boycott the game and donate their money that they would have spent on it to charity. But what was, and that's all. So I don't mind that. I mean, honestly, I don't. I think it's awful that that's the offer. I think that there needs to be, a better payment for voice actors, since they are basically the heart of, a character, especially a video game character that speaks. And I don't mind her calling out, saying, suggesting that fans, who are upset boycott it. I mean, that's what it is. But what drove me nuts, and I cannot find the exact quote now for whatever frickin' reason, is she said that the new actress, the voice actress Jennifer Hale, has no claim to Bayonetta.
Okay, so she's taking her claim as like Bayonetta.
Yeah, she's not Bayonetta, basically.
Voice actress in the first 2. Got it. So, okay, yeah, so she's attacking the replacement.
Right, so I think that's pretty shitty. This is not a strike. This is not a scab crossing a line. This is someone taking a job that someone else didn't take.
They're probably put both in SAG-AFTRA, I'm guessing.
And I don't know that exists for this.
For voice acting, it absolutely does.
Okay. I think that was a really, I understand she's upset, and I get it. And this game's coming out in November, and I believe, and she obviously held on to the story until now to make an impact, and that's fine. I just don't think you need to cut down your fellow voice actors.
Well, no.
I think that's bullshit. I think voice actors in general should be fighting for more money. I definitely think they deserve more money, way more money than $4,000. Like I said, I absolutely agree that that's an insulting amount of money. But taking a swipe at another voice actor drives. That's no good.
So yeah, if they're a part of SAG-AFTRA, their rates are actually, I'm looking at their rates are online. They're public for what voice acting rates are. So if they're established union rates for this, I don't know how far you can do with renegotiating with Nintendo. I have no idea how that works. No clue how that works. If Nintendo offered the rate and that's what the going rate was for SAG, I have no idea how that works. I'm not an expert at that. Maybe someone could talk about that. But to go after someone else like that,
she's not a nice person either. I mean, she's made racist and homophobic and transphobic tweets,
and that's what I want to get at. I think she might be using this as an excuse versus they might have wanted her gone anyway, and maybe this was the way out for her. Because Platinum Games, said their quote was, what was their quote? that there was like overarching circumstances, various overlapping circumstances. That's what Platinum Games told Game Informer. It was due to various overlapping circumstances that made it difficult for Taylor to play Bayonetta once again. So when you have someone that puts out 4 Twitter videos about this, brings up the Bible as well.
Yes, yeah.
And this sounds like that this might have been potentially a difficult person to work with.
Well,
I'm just saying.
Yeah, right. And someone says here in the not to put too much,
credence
on a comment here, but in the Kotaku article, this commenter says, they make some good points. Helene Taylor has a history of racist, homophobic, and transphobic behavior on social media. 2, this is the more important one. Japanese corporations have a saving face culture surrounding firings, and in lieu of directly firing a problematic employee, they will instead offer a pittance or make working conditions unpleasant to compel the employee to quit. And as much as it seems silly to bring up a cartoon, they actually kind of touch on that in the Agretzko cartoons. It's a little Sanrio character. It's like a red panda, where the whole thing takes place in an office, and there's an entire overarching story arc where they don't want to keep the office manager, so they give him a shitty job and they move him to a bad office.
That's
and they cut down his pay.
Milton in office space. They put him in the basement. They don't give him his check.
So it could be. I don't want to dogpile. My situation here is I don't want this to get lost in the conversation. I genuinely think 4,000 is an amazingly insulting offer for something. Maybe that was made in this regards. Either way, no voice actor. I mean, just fire the person. No voice actor desires, or no voice actor should be paid only that. However, there's probably more to this.
I'm just saying, I'm looking at globalvoiceacademy.com, and there's SAG-AFTRA rates there. They have set rates for sessions, for hourly, for cable. I'd look into this. This might have been something where maybe they could have offered them more and said, well, these are the hourly rates, and that's the rate, and that's it.
Well, that's what I think it is. Either way, they need to make more money.
They might have said, we're paying you the floor. We're going to give you the floor that's acceptable technically, versus obviously, I guess you can negotiate more.
Yes.
Yeah.
So
for example, New Media Interactive day performer rate, 1 voice, 1 hour is $404 an hour. So maybe this was a 10-hour session, and they said, we're going to give you $4,000. Maybe that's how they did it. I don't know. But that's like literally on the site I'm looking at right now.
That doesn't change that it's awful. I mean, I'm just saying.
Well, sure, but it's a union thing. Like the union negotiates, I guess, that floor, and that's the floor of it, I guess. I don't know much about this. There's market rates as well. Looking at market rates, and obviously, if it's a market rate, that means that's not a union thing, and that's an individual that can probably negotiate their own thing. But I'm just looking at what these consist of on the site, but they're out there. You can look them up.
Okay. Anyways, shitty offer. She never should have taken a swipe at her.
She broke an NDA too.
Actor.
She said.
I'm not going to judge a person morally on the NDA. I'll judge them on taking shots at their fellow actors.
I'm not going to judge her, but her breaking the NDA means she may not be hired for high-profile things.
That's her fucking problem.
I'm just saying, she does not come out well in this. She could have handled this differently.
Yes.
And the fact that she waited a month before the game comes out, instead of doing this several months before when this stuff was probably recorded, that's also weird. You know what I mean? You want to, because I don't think people are going to be boycotting this game. I just don't.
No, I don't think so either.
Don't boycott UltimateNintendo.com.
Don't do it.
You know, there's good stuff there at a reasonable rate. You got RBI baseball stickers. I almost sold out of them in Portland. You got the CU Podcast pins, enamels. We got the T-shirts, the limited shirt. Blowing them out at $10 if you're a size small. And we got the certain NES and Super Nintendo guidebooks at UltimateNintendo.com. I'll be back on Twitch Wednesday for Shocktober continues. Shocktober month continues on Twitch, twitch.tv/CountryCode. Ian will not be there watching commercials with us and having a ball.
It is unlikely.
Konami wants to get into Web3. Thank you, Konami.
Of course they do.
Thank you, Konami, for wanting to explore the metaverse. They're looking for experts to build its Web3 and metaverse projects, according to PC Gamer article from Joshua Wolins.
This really
seems
seems
you pick
like
worse timing?
No, but this is perfectly Konami, I think.
It's very Konami. Well, Sega's doing it as well. I don't have that down, but Sega's doing the same exact thing. They're looking to get into this shit.
Sega was looking to get into it last year. That's older news.
Oh, okay. I thought. Oh, no, they're releasing their first Web3 game.
Okay.
That's right.
Yeah,
I believe
they mentioned they were doing that last year. Yeah, and so this coincides with Konami also announcing that they are going to update us on what's going on with Silent Hill tomorrow.
Oh, okay.
And people are very, very worried that it's going to
Blockchain
be a
game?
Silent Hill NFT game. Yeah, I mean that's
Oh
the concern.
boy.
So
I'm sorry. On the 8th of this month, Sega officially announced their first blockchain game. It's going to be featured.
okay.
In the Sengokushi Taizen series. Not familiar with that series. Action-packed strategy trading card game. There you go. Popular in Japan. So that's going to be their first Web3 blockchain game. All right, Konami. So yeah, we'll see what this looks like. I just don't. Are you optimistic about?
No.
Okay, maybe a Metal Gear NFT game they'll bring back.
I am not.
Oh,
I am not looking forward to this at all.
It's funny that it seems that I'm not saying they're desperate companies, Konami and Sega, but like you see these companies that are just grasping at these things. Like I can never picture Nintendo wanting to get into NFTs. It's just like, why would you rock the boat?
Well, next week I'm sure we'll be talking about Nintendo getting into NFTs now.
Okay, but you don't want to. You want to stay away from something that is going to be a disaster. There already is a disaster there. Let's talk about this unboxing of this. Speaking of Nintendo, vintage Nintendo unboxing ends in tragedy. This is a Kotaku article from Luke Plunkett.
Oh, this is August 23rd.
Oh, this is August 23rd?
This is old.
All right, I'll bring it up real quick.
Yeah.
We didn't talk about it. Someone on Twitter mentioned it.
I read this, but yeah, I didn't think of it.
Eric Voskuhl, who runs The Wonderful Before Mario, and they wrote the book. That's right. Oh, the book. That's right. They collect all the Nintendo merchandise and games and toy stuff that came out, prior to the 80s. Bought sealed playing cards. Nintendo Souvenir Kyoto playing cards from the 50s, looks like. And so they got two, not just one, but two sealed packs of these and decided to open them. And it ended in disaster.
Yep.
Because, dude, I guess the ink on these playing cards and the fact that the cards are not glossy.
No, this was pre-coated playing cards.
So after all the years and heat and humidity and whatever else.
Into a solid block.
Solid together. So it just shows you how weird when you collect something sealed, you are trusting that the contents are in usable shape, or you don't care.
It's a Schrodinger's contents.
There you go.
You don't know.
So sealed, this would have remained worth probably a lot more money, but now you open it up, you have a box, but then you have a useless pack of cards inside.
Yep.
Useless. And this person, this is where I find fault with this. They did it for both. So after the first one, I would have been personally scared to open the second one for being in the same.
I thought they said they didn't open the second one.
Clearly,
I thought they said
I thought it was
not.
both.
No, they had a second one, and I thought they decided not to.
Checking the second pack, Vasculi found the cards had suffered a similar fate.
Oh, geez.
Third to last paragraph. Yes. So they tried again. So I would have kept the second one sealed personally. Like, I'm not gonna.
Yep.
I'm not gonna trust that this is good. So yeah, it's just interesting because it shows that you don't care about the contents when you collect sealed stuff. Obviously, it's just
right.
The veneer of it. They look cute, the little box.
Yeah, they
did.
You
find something like this. That's playing cards laying around. Some collector had them laying around, or some store had new old stock playing cards. I never collect. I don't have any really Nintendo stuff that is not video game related. I don't. The love tester thing always seems interesting when that comes up for sale.
Yeah, that's always kind of cool looking.
They had lots of toys. They had a Disneyland board game. They had a museum of that. I think the last PRG they had it there. They had like all the Nintendo stuff.
Oh yeah,
video game stuff.
When they did the Nintendo Museum, I think they had that.
Yeah, sure. So what happened on Sunday while we were at PRG? You're on your phone, Ian. You're on your phone and you saw Twitter.
Yeah, I was on my phone and I was looking at it right at the time that the tweet came out, and I saw our friend Gerard tweet, "Hey, this is how I found out I lost my job. How neat." So I clicked on it to see what was above it, and G4 TV shuts down just a year after its relaunch. Wario64 got the document. This is from
It was
Deadline.
it was an internal document memo.
Yep.
Memo, yeah.
And here we go. Here's Scott's full memo, which Deadline obtained from a source. Team, as you know, G4 was reintroduced last year to tap into the popularity of gaming. We invested to create the new G4 as an online and TV destination for fans to be entertained, be inspired, and connect with gaming content. Over the past several months, we worked hard to generate that interest in G4, but viewership is low and the network has not achieved sustainable financial results. This is certainly not what we hoped for, and as a result, we have made the very difficult decision to discontinue G4's operations effective immediately. I know this is disappointing news, and I'm disappointed too. I want to thank you and everyone on the G4 team for the hard work and commitment to the network. Our human resources team is reaching out to you to provide you with support. Not quick enough, apparently. Discuss other opportunities that may be available and answer any questions you may have. Thank you again for all of your hard work for G4. Sincerely, Dave Scott, Chairman and CEO, Comcast Spectacor.
Okay. This comes obviously on the heels of them laying off like 30 to 40 people about a month ago.
Yeah.
5 weeks ago? It's somewhere time in September that happened. And then this happens. So obviously the writing was on the wall then. We talked about it, that this was going to end at some point, but who knows? So obviously G4 was backed by Comcast, huge company. Mm-hmm. They had money to throw at this to just do this. This exists on YouTube, but in terms of the YouTube views, does not justify obviously the amount of people and the production costs. You're never going to make your money back. You're never going to break even. We know that. It's a cable play.
Right.
Here's the issue. I did not bring this up before, but obviously the cable TV ratings were abysmal because who's going to watch this? There's a reason they canceled G4 in the first place 10, 11 years ago because no one was watching anymore.
Yeah.
Because the changing landscape of media being on YouTube, game trailers, and other sites where you can get your news instantaneously. You don't have to wait till the end of the day to watch Olivia Munn talk about something. You get the news when it happens. There is a ratings website called ustvdb.com. This is getting picked up. I looked at this a week or two ago because I was curious. G4, according to this, is the 130th most popular channel on TV. The rating is 0.0003% rating, and they average 1,000 viewers a day on cable TV, according to this website, and now other sources are picking this up. 1,000 viewers. That's not sustainable. That's abysmal. 1,000 viewers on television.
That's insane.
So what likely happened was, like, it's shocking it lasted this long. It was probably like advertisers. So obviously TV, you need advertisers to fund your channel. That's how it works. Comcast can back this. They can throw money after this to try to do it, and get advertisers. So they probably sold advertising not directly for the channel itself, probably part of a suite. Hey, come in on Comcast. You're going to get all, you know what I mean, all these different channels, and we'll throw you on G4. That probably became less and less sustainable in my eyes, where it's like, if I'm an advertiser and you say, hey, we're going to put 10% of your ads on G4, I'll be like, well, no one's watching them. I don't want any of my...
Right, don't put any of them on there.
I'm not saying that's how this happens, but likely that's probably what happens with this. Because if you're telling me that someone came to an advertiser and sold G4 advertising directly at 1,000 viewers, I'd say you'd be lying to me. Because why would I do this? 1,000 people, and you're going to be charging me whatever it costs per spot?
No, that's
multiple
absolutely
$1,000s.
Insane.
That's nuts. So it's not shocking, but obviously this was not handled well. And from my perspective, why would you get rid of a bunch of people, then shut the whole thing down 3 weeks later? You might as well shut it down a month ago. Like, why wait?
Yeah, why? And I feel bad. Why give the people who weren't laid off any sort of hope that things were going to turn around?
Yeah, because usually when a company does a big layoff, okay, things are not good, obviously.
Right.
But you're going to be around for a little bit before the next wave of layoffs. Not like, hey, we're going to have a very stressful situation, lay off whatever percentage it was, a third, half, I don't know. Next month, we're just going to shut it all down now. That's just nuts. It goes back to stuff like the Google Stadia announcement, where the communication isn't well thought out up above. You know it's coming. You look at the numbers months in advance. You know it's not in good shape. You know you're not making money to sustain it. What are you doing? So I feel bad for obviously the people that don't have jobs anymore. I feel bad for Gerard. I know he behind the scenes was trying to help right the ship and do as much as he can, but it's kind of tough when you get dealt a bad hand to begin with,
right?
Or something like this.
I feel bad for everyone who lost the job, but this was, I feel like, a doomed venture from the start.
Yes. This I can probably say with comments, this will be the last attempt at doing a gaming
centric
channel on TV.
Yep.
Like you will not see this attempted again.
Nope.
Especially after this. If this lasted barely a year? Was it even a full year? When did it launch? When did the relaunch happen? Was it November or October last year? One of the things I'll say about this is that you have to have, when are doing this stuff, you have to have a clear vision about what you want what is your channel supposed to be doing?
Sure.
Like, what is the vision of this channel? What are we doing that cannot be done already on other media, especially since the YouTube and Twitch has taken over and online, even E3, you want to even put E3 in there. Like, what can we do that they can't? And for my limited time watching G4, they were doing content that you would have saw there 12, 15 years ago.
Right.
Comedic skits. They still have girls bouncing around in bikinis and boobs. So that was all bullshit about, hey, we're not here for this. Well, they were still doing that same content, and the same Maxim style content.
Probably so, they realized immediately that's
what drew back then. We'll try again. So what are you doing that is unique at this point? Because if the audience, again, left 10, 12 years ago, why would they be back now for the same style of content?
Right. No one was clamoring for it to come back.
I never watched G4 originally. I'm not saying it was bad content. I personally never watched it, and I was their audience to watch it. Frank would tune in to watch. I tell you,
you told
Frank
me
would
that.
Tune in to watch it.
Hilarious.
I mean, probably like Livia Munn, but that's probably part of it. But he tuned in to watch gaming news, which is strange. Maybe he wanted to see what was going on with the kids. I don't know. But we're talking again 10, 12 years ago.
Right.
So, yeah. So you feel bad about it. I'm trying to see, when did it come back? Was it even a full year? I'm just kind of curious. It was 11 months ago. It was November 16th. So it didn't even last a full year. It got there. They did some, they had the, what is it? A God of Work series. That was entertaining.
Yep.
Gerard was Kratos, a sort of like a, The Office sort of thing, but a parody thing. That was interesting. But other than that, I just, yeah, it's not a surprise.
No,
not at all. And then there's some shenanigans that were happening with Rooster Teeth. I don't know much about what's been going on with Rooster Teeth.
It sounds awesome. I was just kind of alerted to this yesterday. It sounds awful.
I said, it sounds awesome.
Jesus, sounds awful. I was just alerted to this yesterday, but apparently Rooster Teeth is not a fantastic place to work, and all of this has been coming out. Kaden Jensen, who worked at Rooster Teeth from 2013 until leaving earlier this year, published a 2,257-word blog post Saturday detailing her experiences at the company. Basically, it was not, as inclusive and, accepting as she thought it would be. When they started working there, every day they were called the F word. And then when they became trans, when they transitioned, things got worse. The acting manager began to harass her and lie to the community anytime I was planned to be on camera and couldn't show up. And the way I was treated did not change at all and became actively worse. She has still not been paid for voiceover work from the company. So it sounds like an absolute mess. And, she concludes the post with handful of good people, bad company. Video game industry seems like a fucking awful place to work.
Yeah.
Whether you're a dev and you're at a big company and you're getting shit on and harassed, or you are being mistreated by Rooster Teeth, or you go back and you try to do a good thing with this video game TV channel and they just revert back to all of their old tricks. I don't know. It sounds like shit. It sounds, and the indie game community isn't free of it either. There's always stories coming out about that too. It just sounds like a nightmare place to work. And I respect all of my peers that work in it, because I don't know that I could do it.
It's a microcosm just of how, not all companies, but a chunk of companies are not run well because the people in it are assholes or they're shit. And it's just a microcosm for life. I think we have a weird expectation of the stuff we like being run by better people in general. oh, this game company, that we like their games, so the company must be run very well. No, no, not necessarily. Not necessarily. There's no reason to be run better than a company that makes mugs or T-shirts. It's the same. People are the same across industries. The same petty motivations, the same petty desires, the same backstabbing that goes on in corporate world. It's the same. It's the same. It doesn't matter. We have to grow up and realize that in general, that, hey, this is a great company. They make great products. They can still be bad actors working at the company.
We have to stop idolizing the business.
Yes.
We have to stop.
Yes.
It's full of parasocial relationships and idolized companies that, it's ridiculous.
People take out their personal issues on fellow employees. It's the same thing like anything else. Like any other, like if you worked in an office, you would know what I'm talking about.
So we need to bring this up before we end. I was just looking at Twitter to see if anything had come up. It has. Bloomberg. Platinum Games attempted to rehire Helena Taylor as Bayonetta, paying between $3,000 to $4,000 per session.
Oh, per session?
5 sessions, and not for the whole game, which is what she was alluding to.
So
Taylor then asked for a 6-figure sum and residuals, which Platinum Games declined. Taylor sticks to her version, but that's what Platinum Games is saying.
So Platinum Games offer her a lot more, and she's saying, so someone's lying. It sounds like someone's lying. Yep. The residuals things, that's not going to happen with a game like that. To be like, we talked about that before. That's a whole other thing. But they offer a lot more than what she said, at least 5 times more. Okay.
And then, so her response was, in an email, Taylor described this account as an absolute lie and said Platinum was trying to save their ass and the game. She said she stood by everything she said in the video. I would like to put this whole bloody franchise behind me and quite frankly, get on with my life in the theater, she wrote. Representatives for Platinum Games and Nintendo didn't respond to requests for comment. Hideki Kamiya, the executive director of Bayonetta 3, called Taylor's allegations sad and deplorable in a Twitter post. So there's a truth somewhere in here and we don't know it, and that's where I'll leave it at that.
Okay.
All right.
Interesting.